This is Jeanine, and you're listening to WCBG. WCBG is broadcasted from Wagner College in Staten Island, New York. Today's interview is with Simon and Alex from Toronto-based band Incase We Crash, so check it out and stay tuned.
Hey there. Hello.
Hi. Thank you guys so much for doing this. I'm pretty excited.
Of course, and thanks for having us as well.
Of course. So can you guys introduce yourselves for me and tell me a fun fact about you?
I am Simon. I play guitar and I sing in the band, and I'm obsessed with ramen, like not the store-bought stuff, but like the really good stuff. You go to a nice restaurant and get some quality ramen. That's my stuff right there.
I'm Alex. I play guitar. I was born in Europe, and I'm obsessed with tea, like different kinds of tea.
Awesome. Amazing. So we have a little icebreaker we ask everyone. It's from our freshman orientation. It's a strange question. It's kind of why we ask it. If you could be any utensil in the kitchen, what would you be and why?
I'd be a spork because I'm multi-purpose. I can do a lot of things.
I'd be a tablespoon.
Yeah, Alex would be a little tablespoon because he's soft. He'd be a long but small tablespoon. He's really tall, but he's also like really sensitive and soft.
Cute.
Yeah.
So you guys are from Canada, correct?
Yep. Yeah. Toronto.
Toronto.
The
Okay.
big city.
So what's it like over there?
Well, I mean, from what I've experienced in New York, they're actually quite similar in like the urban aspect, like very metropolitan. Obviously, this is a lot smaller in comparison, but very hip, very especially friendly here. The only thing is the weather is quite brutal in the winter.
Very cold, I'm assuming.
Yeah, except this year we've been blessed with like a pretty mild winter, but typically our winters get pretty brutal.
Like in here for the past 2 years, it was like snowing in April.
Yeah, there's snow until the end of April and sometimes even in May.
Okay, so what music are you guys currently listening to?
You could start that one.
I've been listening to new 4 Year Strong songs. They just put out like 3 new singles and announced an album out of nowhere, and I always been into that band. So.
And then you're also like keeping up to date with like Stand Atlantic as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. For me, I'm listening to, I kind of like older stuff, not like old stuff, but stuff from the past 10 years. I'm kind of bad at keeping up to date with the new music, but I still like it. But I'm really listening to like the 1975 and and like The Neighborhood and that kind of more poppy stuff recently.
Nice. I always like to ask because my staff makes fun of me. They say I live under a rock, which is partially true. Like, if it was released recently, I probably don't know what it is, especially if it's on the radio. So
yeah, it's very similar for me too.
I definitely understand that. It's kind of like stuff from probably, this past 10 years and seeing how it kind of influences music today, which I find fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question for you is, if you can collaborate with any artist, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Well, I have my own personal bias because I idolize Matt Healy of the 1975. So that would definitely be a collab I'd want to do. But, yeah, I mean, that's my answer. What's yours, Alex?
Mark Hoppus, probably.
Okay.
Blink-182, Mark Hoppus.
Blink-182, Mark Hoppus. Yeah.
Lit. Okay. So, how did you guys pick your respective instrument?
For me, like, I've been playing guitar and singing since high school, and kind of that's actually like where at least the original concept for this band came anyway. Like, we kind of had the same name, and I kind of just like pulled it over once I started this project. But guitar and like singing has always really been like my focus. I don't know, I'm like, I want to play guitar, so I learned. I wanted to sing, so I learned.
For me, it was like when I was a kid, my dad had like this old acoustic guitar, and he would like play around with it and play the old songs. And then I got into like rock music and alternative music in general, so I picked it up and I was like playing around with it, and I just asked him to teach me, and then here I am.
Amazing. I love seeing how people kind of start their love of music and where it kind of comes from and how it kind of grows from there. I feel like music is just like collective thing, and it's a great connectivity thing. Like you guys are in Canada, I'm in New York. It's fascinating.
Yeah, because like everyone, like even more so now with the internet, everyone's connected on some level, and like music genres start to really just like hold hands across like oceans, across everything, and you're all on the same wavelength. Whereas it was way more clustered in the decade prior.
That actually leads to my next question. What is your opinion of streaming services like Spotify?
Controversial. I think they actually open up a world of opportunities for artists because what we don't realize is like, yes, there might not be as many superstars, might not be as many people making a lot of money on album sales. There's like moderate success among artists because smaller artists can now put something into the world and can receive attention from thousands and thousands of people in a completely different part of the world, and then they can be compensated for that, right? So I think it's not necessarily better than album sales, but it's not necessarily worse. It's just different.
But it's like before you had to like get on the radio for people to like discover you, like MTV in like early 2000s. But Spotify, there's no like gatekeepers. So if your music is good, people like it, there's gonna be at least like some people that will listen to it.
That's so true. Like I religiously use Spotify all the time. I love how it's great for exposure and finding artists like I love listening to and expanding kind of my horizons and genres I really enjoy.
Exactly, yeah.
So my next question is, if you could change anything about the music industry, what would it be and why?
That's a good one. Uh, well, I think like it's more like the message I'd want to send to people in the industry, like particularly artists, is that like to be aware how much easier it's being to be like independent and to kind of like what I would want to change is just create more support systems for independent artists because this whole notion that you need a label or you need this or that to be successful is so outdated. And I think you're actually usually better off the more that you can create yourself. So I would just kind of want to help create a system that's better supportive of independent artists,
Yeah,
etc.
and to me, that comes actually to what I kind of had in mind as well. To me, would be like the bigger retailers or like promoters of shows, like Live Nation, for example, paying more attention to smaller like local scene and independent artists and kind of helping to grow it.
Yeah, and I would also change the Ticketmaster in there.
Yeah.
This kind of leads to my next question. What's your favorite concert that you've been to?
I mean, I have some like more like nostalgic and like sentimental shows I went to. I went to Alexis original farewell tour in like 2011, and that was just like a one of a kind show. But then more recently, I saw the 1975 in Toronto, Budweiser Gardens or whatever, and it was just incredible light show, incredible performances. It's really just top tier performance. I can't even explain it.
For me, it was probably like there was that show a long time ago. It was the Wonder Years and the Greatest Generation tour, and it was like when all these like bands like Modern Baseball and like Real Friends and everything that were coming up, they were like in this like pop punk scene, and they had all their best stuff out, and they were like at their peak at the time, and it was like a show that combined all these bands, and it was just really cool like atmosphere.
Can you tell me a little bit about the local scene in Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, in respect to our genre, like the pop punk and emo kids, it's always kind of shifting a bit because like it's definitely different from when we started like 4 or 5 years ago in this scene. But there's a lot of young locals who come up and like they do pretty well, and then there's a lot of bands who either make it or break it, so they kind of get to this point where they're so close to like getting picked up or getting somewhere, and then they might fall apart. I don't know, like it's definitely, but we have such a high volume of like just talented bands and stuff. Like I don't think, I mean, I'm biased, but I don't think as many like other places in Canada have this high of a concentration of just like bands who are this motivated and this talented and just trying to go out and get it, you know?
Yeah, like I've been like out to, for example, West Coast Canada before, and there it's like way less saturated compared to here. Here, just there's so much going on in Toronto.
Yeah.
What is your favorite venue that you've ever played in?
Well, I think it depends the atmosphere, because when I was like a kid, there used to be these weird sketchy shows in Toronto. They're called like Supernova and like hot box events where it was like a pay to play. And so they would get these young bands who just wanted to play at these awesome venues like Opera House and Sound Academy, which I got to play at as a kid. But you'd be playing to like a crowd of like 20, 30 people, and then they would take all the money that you raised from selling tickets. And so that was like the nicest venue I played at. But some of the more entertaining shows we played are definitely in like the smaller capacity venues, when it's been more in our own right of bringing people out to these shows. So like definitely, like we played one at Hard Luck Bar a while ago, and it was like a sold out show. We were opening for a band called Waterparks. That was really fun. And then we've played some more headliners that are in even smaller venues here that have been like the energy's been wild.
To me, yeah, like to me, I guess the question can be put two ways. My favorite venue that I've played with with this band was probably like one of these like smaller, like Ottawa Aska Punk has a really cool vibe. It was like one of the smaller shows that like you really connect to people.
Yeah, the house shows are super fun sometimes.
Okay, so my next question for you is, what is your favorite album in your personal collection?
For me, like I think like physical albums, it's probably Billy Talent 2, because I remember like that album as a kid was just so huge for me, and like just because the physical album itself had like just this crazy artwork and design for each single song. It had like a theme with these like kind of like cartoon, like kind of what's the word, like Nightmare After Christmas or whatever, like kind of vibey. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but the drawings were just so graphic and so kind of grim, but like fit the song so well, and the songs themselves were just so like well detailed, and I was just blown away by the quality of that album. And even going back to listening to that today, I'm still like, holy crap, like how did they come up with this?
For me, it's this like Chuck album by Sum 41, and the reason being that was like my first real concert when I went when I was 14, when Sum 41 came to my hometown. I grabbed that record from them.
Yeah, that was like literally my number two. I had that as a kid. I was like 8 years old, and even though it was quite a heavy album for a kid, I would just love that album. I'd like freaking play with my toys while I listened to Sum 41 or something like that.
Amazing. Okay. So we have a question we've been asking everyone. What is your opinion of releasing an artist's unreleased music after they've passed away? Should it be released or should it not?
I mean, it depends on the nature of it. I think, like, because it depends if they're in a label deal or not. Because I think I would want my creations to at least have been heard if that, say, were to happen to me, because there's definitely music I haven't released that I would like the world to hear, whether, if given any situation. But I think it shouldn't be so forcibly packaged and sold, like, for some of these posthumous albums, which are so clearly like a product to try and just generate more income. I think the nature of it has to be very sensitive and very open. I think it should be free. So if they do have to release music after an artist has passed, it should be in a free manner. So streaming, whatever. I don't think they should make physical copies or, charge people to access like streaming. I don't know. You know what I mean, right?
So one of the reasons we asked this question is we feel like it's been happening a lot lately, especially with like the Little Peep songs that have been released, which kind of sound like bedroom demos, like not fully finished, not fully right. And then also like Mac Miller's just dropped Circles. So
yeah. So I mean, yeah, if those come up on like CDs and vinyls, that's a little bit of like a gray area for me. That I'm like, ugh, that's kind of skeezy, but just having the music out there and like for people to listen to, there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. It's a difficult question to answer because there's so many moving parts to it and so many different factors that go into making music and how it's released and the way it's presented. Like, obviously, I'm just on the receiving end, so I just listen to music. And it's always interesting to think of, would the artist have been happy with the final product?
Yeah, fair enough. That's a big question too, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Because sometimes they might have not like finished the revision fully, and it's not something they were happy with.
Yeah, and then the whatever, like the record label's completing their vision for them or something like that.
So my next question for you is, what are your top 3 songs for a road trip? And if songs is too difficult, we can do albums.
Oh, yeah, it's got to be albums.
Okay,
for sure.
albums it is.
So, you want to go first?
For some reason, Southern Air by Yellow Card, I don't know, it's just really nice for driving, especially like if it's like a warm weather, like summer drive. That's just an album that just works.
It's top 3 though.
Top 3, Homesick by Day to Remember, just because it's like a very like sing along, like everyone knows it, and you like turn it on, and they're like,
we've definitely done that before.
And Take Off Your Pants and Jacket by Blink-182.
Yeah, we've literally done all that, like listen to those in car. For me, the Cartel's self-titled album, that's like one of them. There was this band called Trico, or Tricot is how it's spelled. They're a Japanese math rock band. One of their albums is just so good, even though I can't understand what they're saying. Like the instrumentals are so beautiful and like makes me so happy on a road trip or whatever. And then lastly, probably the 1975 self-titled, because it's actually such a long album that like you'd have like 20 songs there to listen to. So,
but it's also like so fun to listen to like all the way through.
Yeah.
I love like albums when they tell a story, kind of like going through a journey with the artist.
Mm-hmm.
Also, side note, you're the first person I've spoken to who actually knows what math rock is, and that really makes me happy.
Oh yeah, of course. I've been listening to it since like high school and stuff, but I mean, it's not like these days I don't really discover new math rock, if that makes sense. Like I had my phase in high school and then for the few years after, and yeah, then since then I've like kind of, haven't discovered new music in that realm. So
I just find it interesting to listen to. There's so many different moving parts to a song, and I love when like the time signature changes, or like there's a key change but the time sig change. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Math rock is like my favorite 2 a.m. music because it's so weird and it's just
It's always good to listen to. I don't know. It's kind of like makes you think.
Well, if you've ever listened to the Animals LP by This Town Needs Guns, man, that was like my high school sad boy album. Like that album literally like completely reminds me of the end of high school and like the year following that. Like it's very special to me, and like definitely like even in terms of like the emotional aspect of it, has influenced me in like my writing, even from like a math rock band, which is quite different from what we do. So
okay, now this leads to my next question. What is your writing process like?
I mean, like it's kind of shifted over the years, but usually it's like I start with I have a demo template on my computer, and then it can either come about from like what was most typical is like a guitar riff idea, and you kind of build that into a song from jamming around with it, and then sometimes I get like a full kind of like vocal or melody idea in my head, and those things they can be quite separate for a while. So I'll have like phone demos, and like I'll be writing one of those. We'll like figure out some instrumentals, we'll get Tyler on some drums, we'll add some like parts, and then I'll go into my phone demos and maybe pull out a melody or lyric idea that I thought might work for it. And so it kind of just it's hard to like completely say, because there's been times where it's been quite different than that as well. But yeah, usually it's like Pro Tools, demo, add the vocals to it, and then just revise the song until it's got a good form and good lyrics and everything.
Yeah. And what I usually do is like listen to it in process and always bounce it back to Simon with my like feedback or what I think.
Oh, like this needs a bridge here or something here, and that kind of, we do a lot of like revising and rejigging of our songs as well.
Amazing. What's your favorite lyric, guitar riff, or like drum cadence that you've ever written?
Well, I mean, for me, it's definitely something that's not out yet. But out of stuff we put out, I think like some of the lyrics of our most recent song, "Garden," I think are probably like I'm the most proud of having written that because it's like I don't know, we've written like I've been happy about some of the other lyrics we've written and that have really summarized how I felt. But I think it's the second verse of "Garden" where it's like, "If love is like a rose, I'm still bleeding from every single thorn left in my heart." It's not even so much that I'm like feeling that, but it's like I feel like a lot of people can relate to that, and a lot of people can really understand what I mean when I say that.
Yeah, for me, I actually joined the band only last year, so the thing is, there's not the riffs that I contributed for the band that's out yet, so I cannot say. But for me, I think the favorite riff to play right now out of the things out now is probably Garden, and also the song that we're putting out next. I just cannot uncover the details.
Yeah. The next song that we're gonna put out is also one of like that's probably my favorite guitar riff out of our new stuff. Like when the next song you're gonna hear. So.
Awesome. Can you tell me the story of how Garden came to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So believe it or not, it's actually like quite not an old song, but it was written September 2017, if I'm recalling correctly, or at least the first idea came about then. It was recorded in May of 2018, so quite a while ago. It came like I said, the instrumental usually comes first, so all that little cool riff and the groove that was just kind of like a spontaneous thing. And then once we had a form, we started writing the lyrics to it, and I think I had this melody idea in my head where it like ascends at the end of the line, because usually like if you sing or you look at like say Coldplay is a good example, when you sing your vocal melody usually descends towards the end of the line. I thought it'd be cool to kind of do the opposite of that, so it'd be like da na 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 do 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 and like go up at the end. So that was the idea for Garden, and from there that created so many other ideas and helped really like the lyrics start to just fall out once you have like a really inspiring melody like that. Yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I wasn't in the band at the time, so
Yeah, so
I just figured I'd ask. I really like that idea, and I think the song is just a relatable song, and kind of wanted me to hear more from you guys. So, my next question for you is, can you please describe your sound for me in 3 words?
Passionate, intimate, and energetic.
So, you guys have released some music videos. What's your favorite concept for a music video that you've done?
In our past videos, how many we've put out? 4 so far, I think. Out of those 4, I mean, like the most fun to shoot so far has definitely been 12 Degrees.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we basically just like went to the CNE, which is just like a kind of carnival fair thing in Toronto that happens during the summer. And we basically just like we like set a budget and we just played a whole bunch of games, did a whole bunch of fun stuff, and took videos of it. Yeah, so that was just a lot of fun.
Yeah, Simon was the only one who won though.
Yeah, I was the only one who won anything at the fair.
So,
Yeah, for us too, like it's becoming more and more a thing with every song. It's like we start to vision things and how like a music video could come to be, and so that's like definitely something you're gonna see more of in the future from us as well.
what do you guys do when you're not writing music?
That's a good question. Not a lot. I mean, I mean, just in terms of music activities, keeps us pretty busy. But we have jobs, we have some friends that we spend time with. So I'm a barista, do some special coffee service, and I have some friends I hang out with. And
I play video games. I do web design. I longboard. I just hang out with friends.
Video games would be a good one. I think all of us can agree to that.
Yeah, our post-practice ritual is like playing Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your favorite video game?
Ooh, I mean, like I'm tied. I love just the Pokemon series in general, but then also the Legend of Zelda series. I can't pick a single game, but both of those series have been with me for a long time, and I would not have as fun of a life without those.
Yeah, I actually want to get Pokemon Shield or Sword like next week. I just haven't decided which one.
Yeah, so Pokemon and Zelda are pretty unanimous for us.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same for me. And then I used to play like games like Halo or like Star Wars games or like RPGs.
Mhm. RuneScape.
PC versus console.
Theoretically, PC is better, but I'm a console guy.
I grew up in Europe, so that's a PC.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
No,
I
go.
love the Nintendo consoles. Like Nintendo consoles, I own like a bunch of them.
Yeah. Like, see, I agree. Like, I have way more fun on the consoles, but theoretically, if we're actually talking about technical stuff, PC can do everything a console can, pretty much. So.
My next question for you is: you guys have any pre-show rituals or superstitions that you do before you perform?
They're probably more like individual. Like, we don't have like a collective ritual between us yet, at least.
Maybe we'll make something up.
Yeah, I mean, I like, just as like a vocalist, I always like to like warm up and like drink lots of fluids and warm my voice. But then, and sometimes if I can, I'll go for like a run just to loosen up. But there's nothing too ritualistic for me at this point.
Yeah, the only ritual we have is really the post-practice one.
Yeah, just like playing video games after.
Awesome. What has your biggest challenge been as a band so far?
I mean, it's kind of like that question is always changing, and it's hard to quantify like one challenge being harder than another because it just depends where you are. But I'd say, just finding like the right, finding the momentum, right? Like just getting things started and getting the ball rolling, because that's an ongoing process, and there's so many other smaller problems that can be a stick in the wheel of that. So
Yeah.
just the overall keeping momentum going has definitely been like the hardest thing, and I think most bands can agree.
Yeah, and also having like a solid team on like all ends of the business. That's like we all like on the same point and like all like supporting. It's getting like better now. Like I think we're getting there.
Yeah, it's just there's so much involved in like actually running a band properly and setting yourself up for success, and that whole process requires just so much like consistency and so much conversation.
Yeah, it's like also like realizing that being in a band is like only like maybe 20% about music, but then the rest is about like being an entertainer and a business person and like everything else.
That's so true. It's nice to see the different sides of releasing a song, especially because, as you guys said, independent artists, and I want people to realize more so like you guys are grinding every day to get your sound out there and get your voices out there, and I think that's so important for not just the industry but for people, because it's releasing different types of music that connect with so many others. I have some spitfire questions that we've been doing, and I'll ask the question and you guys have like 3 seconds to answer. Okay. Okay. Favorite color?
Green.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Sorry. School of Rock.
Oh, Harry Potter? Okay.
Favorite book?
I don't read that much.
Lord of the Rings.
Favorite TV show?
How I Met Your Mother.
Ooh, goddamn, I lose.
Okay, if you can go any place in the world, where would you go?
Australia?
Japan.
And favorite restaurant?
Ajisan Ramen.
Lakeview Restaurant? I guess there's... Yeah, that's what it's called?
Is that the brunch place, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there. It's okay. Ajisan Ramen.
Okay, so those are our little spitfire questions. I'm just going to circle back for a second. You said School of Rock was your favorite movie.
Yeah, I mean, it like honestly, as a kid, it was 100%. Recently, I like recent movies don't stick with me that much. Whereas like definitely School of Rock, I've seen it so many times, and as a kid, that was like so huge for me.
Yeah, actually, I would definitely put School of Rock in like my top 20.
Yeah, absolutely. I was 8 years old. I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever. So.
Okay. My last question for you is, what are your goals for 2020?
I mean, we can't like spoil too much, but
Totally fine.
theoretically, we want to put out a new EP. We want to put out a bunch of music videos. We want to tour Canada and the US, and we want to grow our following and reach more people with our music.
Yeah, and just connect with more people.
Amazing.
Go to new places.
That's awesome. I know I'm super hyped to see what you guys do in the decade, and also the year. And yeah, I think it's going to be great. I'm super excited. So thank you guys for talking with me.
Of course, and thank you for having us once again.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It was fun.
Have a great day.
You too. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye. Again, that was Simon and Alex from Incase We Crash. If you really enjoyed today's interview, be sure to stay tuned for some of their songs. And of course, follow them on their social media platforms and go listen to their music. Thanks again for tuning in. Have a great night.
I see flowers in your eyes like a garden, so beautiful I just wanna pick them out. And in the spring they'll bloom a new color, with shades and hues that we've never seen before. I just wish my garden would grow into something that I'm proud of, the beauty from the ground. I see color in your smile. How's it going? She said I had a bad thought, smoked it off, but now I'm here again. And if love is like a rose, then I'm still bleeding from every single thorn left in my heart. You said I'd forget. I just wish my garden would grow. And but there's no water for this soil. We were meant to flourish into something I'd be proud of, a beauty from the ground. You said I'd forget. You said I'd forget the promises that we both shared. Think of the sun in my eyes and the hole in my chest, from where you got away from me, from me. I just wish my garden would grow. And but there's no water for this soil. We were meant to flourish into something I'd be proud of, a beauty from the ground. Like a garden, like a garden. Yours hot as the summer and I'm February. with all of my friends. It's nothing like the friends that I love to die to live. There's no end to